You probably recognize this kind of person. It might even be you. They're the one who quietly observes everything, laughs at just the right moments, remembers small details about people they barely know, and shows up for others with almost uncanny precision. It feels like they truly understand you. But if you ever try to get genuinely close to them, you'd notice something subtle but firm, a boundary. Not cold or unfriendly, just a limit to how deep things can go. People who struggle to trust others aren't always who we assume they are. We tend to picture someone openly cynical or distant, someone who expects the worst from everyone. While that type exists, most chronic distrust doesn't look like that at all. More often, it looks like someone who is socially skilled, thoughtful, and emotionally aware on the surface. Someone who connects easily but quietly ensures no one gets close enough to hurt them. This isn't random behavior. It's something carefully built over time. One of the biggest misconceptions about trust is that it's simply a personality trait, something you either have or you don't. In reality, trust is more like a conclusion your mind reaches. It's shaped early in life, before you even realize it's happening, based on the experiences you had with the people around you. Early relationships form a kind of blueprint in the brain. They answer a fundamental question: is it safe to rely on others? And once your mind settles on an answer, it tends to defend it. So, if someone grows up in an environment where safety was inconsistent, where care came and went, where love had conditions, or where the same person could be both comforting and threatening, the brain doesn't just label those specific relationships as unsafe. It often generalizes that belief to people as a whole. That belief doesn't stay in the past. It follows them into every relationship, every friendship, every moment where closeness begins to form. And when someone starts to get too close, those old patterns activate. Inside someone who struggles with trust, there's often a constant internal conflict. On one side, there's a genuine desire for connection. On the other, there's a deeply rooted belief that closeness isn't safe. That tension can be exhausting. They might meet someone they truly like, and for a brief moment, there's hope, an almost electric sense that maybe this could be different. But just as quickly, their mind starts searching for warning signs. It scans for inconsistencies, small red flags, anything that confirms what it already expects. And here's the difficult part. That constant scanning can create distance. To the other person, it may look like disinterest or detachment. But in reality, it often comes from caring deeply and wanting to avoid getting hurt. In some cases, this pattern is linked to what psychologists describe as betrayal trauma. This happens when the person who caused harm was also someone essential, like a caregiver, partner, or close friend. In those situations, the brain sometimes protects the relationship by minimizing or suppressing the awareness of the harm. Over time, this can lead to something even more complex, not just distrusting others, but distrusting yourself. You might question your own perceptions. Am I overreacting? Did I misread that? Am I the problem? When someone grows up having their feelings dismissed or invalidated, they often become adults who are highly aware of others but unsure of their own judgment. They can read a room with incredible accuracy, then immediately doubt what they just noticed. This isn't a flaw in character. It's what happens when your internal sense of direction has been disrupted over time. The patterns that develop from this can look very different from person to person. Some people become avoidant, keeping relationships surface level and pulling away when things start to feel serious. Others move in the opposite direction, becoming anxious and hyper-aware, constantly seeking reassurance, but never fully feeling secure. And then there are those who move back and forth between the two, drawing people in, then pushing them away, then feeling the loss deeply when distance follows. From the outside, these behaviors can seem confusing or even intentional. But internally, it often feels overwhelming, like trying to stay afloat while waves keep pulling you under. What's often overlooked, though, is just how deeply loyal these individuals can be when they do trust someone. For a person who has learned to protect themselves at all costs, choosing to trust is not casual, it's significant. It takes real courage. And when they let someone in, they tend to do so wholeheartedly. That's why, when trust is broken, it doesn't just feel like losing a relationship. It feels like losing the belief that things could finally be different. Rebuilding trust in a meaningful way takes time, often more time than anyone would like. It's not something that changes because of promises or words. For someone who expects disappointment, promises don't carry much weight. What does make a difference is consistency. Real trust grows through repeated, reliable experiences. It's not about grand gestures. It's about small, steady moments. Someone showing up the same way over and over again. Being dependable not just when it matters most, but in ordinary, everyday situations. Gradually, the brain begins to take note. It starts to reconsider its old conclusions. But this process is slow, and it's rarely straightforward. There will be moments of openness, followed by sudden withdrawal. From the outside, this might look like regression, but internally, it's more like the mind testing whether it's truly safe to let its guard down. If any part of this feels familiar, not just in theory, but in a deeper, more personal way, then it's worth remembering this. Beneath all the caution and protection, there is a strong capacity for connection. The ability to care, to love, and to keep trying despite past experiences is not something small. In fact, it's something quite remarkable. The defenses you built were necessary at one point. They helped you get through situations that weren't easy to navigate. But growth often involves revisiting those defenses and asking which ones are still needed and which ones might be ready to come down. If you're interested in exploring these ideas further, you can check out additional resources on psychology, human behavior, and personal growth through the links provided. And if you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Your support makes a real difference, and it's always appreciated.